Hi, welcome to the Shelly Studio. Today I'm going to make something with the gel prints that I created previously. These were part of the color challenge from back in March, and I released the video of the gel printing a few days ago. I'll link it in the description box below so you have that if you want to see how those pages were created. But I decided I wanted to make something with them, and so, I mean, it's not anything major, but kind of like journaling cards or postcards. They can be considered postcards. So I've cut some watercolor paper. I just took one sheet of, I believe it was 9 by 12 watercolor paper, cut it into four, and decided that would be good enough to create these. And it's just like, well, let's see. It's Grumbacher watercolor. It is 9 by 12 and it's 140 pounds or 300 GSM. So it's thick enough. I thought it would be thick enough to hold up to this. And I just decided I would start by putting a little bit of the color from the color challenge onto the watercolor paper. This one is having a hard time filling in the white spots, and I wanted to cover it completely. So, and I'm not too worried about the unevenness of the color. I didn't, like, if I'd have been worried about it, I would have, like, gessoed before I put the paint on. Then the paint would have gone on smoother. But I'm going to be collaging the papers on, so I'm not too worried about the base. I just want something there, just a way to get me started, because I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to play with my papers. I do have another one. It's still white, so it's there. There are four. There are going to be four. And the first thing I decided I wanted to do was stencil a few fleur-de-lis on there. And I'm going to start with white. I can't remember. I think I do it in green, but I'm starting with white because the colors are kind of transparent. If I just did green straight to it, it would just kind of be like a muddy, probably a muddy brownish color. And so this way, it has something to mask out the color below. And my green's not exactly the lime green that the color challenge called for. So, did I say these colors are from the color challenge back in March? Every month, PM Artist Studios, they're makers of mixed media art and artists Facebook group, has a color challenge. And for March, it was lime green. I can't remember exactly the shade of purple, and then raspberry were the colors. So that's where these colors are coming from. Now this is wet strength tissue, which means it's resistant to water, but you can still use a water brush and tear it. It's just a little bit more difficult to tear. It doesn't tear quite as easy as regular tissue paper, and it's not as transparent. So when I collage these down, they'll be a little bit milky. They'll be a little bit, but I think wet cutting the edges helps it to disappear a little bit better. If there's a harsh line, it kind of draws your eyes, but when you wet tear it, it kind of feathers that out. And I'm being really generous with my matte medium to try and mitigate the visibility, but of course you can still see it. I mean, it is what it is. This time I decided I'm going to cover the whole thing with the tissue, and this one doesn't need to be wet cut with the water because it's just going to cover the whole thing. And hopefully the purple will show through. But if you are interested in the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists Facebook group, I will link it in the description box below. And all of these gel prints that I'm using and that were made with that stencil, and it's Fleur de Lis Distressed by Rhonda Dona, and that is sold by PM Artist Studios stencil and stamp store. So I will link that below too, in case you're interested. I'm not an affiliate. I just like it. And give credit where credit is due. I like Fleur de Lis, so. Oh, and here's my white piece that I haven't colored yet. So we're going to put some of that tissue right on there. And just set it aside to dry. Okay, we're back. The tissue's dry. I've trimmed the edges on some of them. This one I'm going to just try and hide that white just a little bit more from the tissue. So I'm just going over it with the purple, and then I just will wipe back the areas of the Fleur de Lis so it just hides it just a little bit. Now I'm deciding what else I want to put on there, and I've got my prints out here. Need to use them, want to use them. That's the goal. This one, I think it just looks like a bunch of capital T, or not capital T's. It looks like a bunch of T's. I thought then, since there was a lot of white on this one, adding that gel print that has a lot of white in it would be a good idea. So that's my whole thought process behind this one. I know PM Artist Studio, when they make their cards like this, they put quotes on the back. So if anybody has any good quotes, leave them in the comments below, and maybe I'll add them to the back. I do put some papers on the back, but yeah, I think it would be fun to add some quotes. I just don't know what goes with Fleur de Lis. Maybe it doesn't need to. Anybody got a profound author that they think is cool? Let me know. I'll see if I can figure out a quote. I was putting that on there and it just didn't feel quite right. So I can't remember if I do it or not. Like, where are those anyway? Let's see. Found them. Yeah, I think that ends up somewhere else. Nope, I did it. Which one is that one? Where is that one? Oh, it's the last one I look at. I actually quite like this one, but it's not as bright as I want it to be. Like, if you hold it up to the light and have light shine through, you get the bright raspberry color. But I thought maybe it would work collaging it onto that painted background that has the raspberry on the background. And of course I just can't glue them straight on. That would be boring, right? I've got to tear them up and do stuff with them. But I don't know if you can hear that. They feel pretty solid. They're not like hard, but they're pretty good. Yeah, and basically that's all this video is me figuring out how to collage these things together to make them look interesting. And to use my papers. I just keep altering back and forth, trying to decide what I want. I thought maybe if I just add a strip of this color. It's got a little bit of the green fleur-de-lis on it, so it kind of goes with the ones I've already stenciled on there. So I've got two different matte mediums that I'm using. One is just the thinner matte medium, and they're both by Liquitex. And then the other one is gel medium. So when I'm doing the tissue, I do the matte medium, the liquids, more liquid stuff. And then when I'm doing the regular paper, well, most of the time, when I'm doing the regular paper, I try to use the gel medium. That big tub right there. Because it's a little stiffer and will hold those papers down. It's just a little bit easier than using the liquid stuff. So if you've got both, I mean, I've done it all with the liquid before. It is possible. And I've collaged with glue stick before too, but I figured this time I would use the matte medium. Just adding another layer of paper to this one. I think when it's done, you can't really tell where one ends and the other begins. Sorry, I'm being quiet, just watching. Oh, this time I thought, well, you know, I've watched other people and they do these and they kind of wrap the paper around the back. But I end up putting something over the top of that anyway because I wanted a full back on there. So I should do what PM Artist Studios has some sort of printed thing with their business name and stuff, and they sign it. They put on the back of their ATCs and stuff. I should do something like that on the back of these. I could get like a stamp. I need to get a stamp with my stuff on it, and then I could stamp it onto the right colored piece of paper and glue it on. I'm thinking my stencil is looking rather pretty. When I put it next to that pink, it's got the fun green on there and some purple. I think the prettiest part is my stencil. So I figured I'd add, I think these ones I keep white, just for a little pop. I know I said the word pop. But then I got some smudgies, so I'm gonna, because I used the matte medium and this is paint, it wipes off pretty well. And I can wipe off the smudgy ones. Then I set that aside to dry and go to the next one. Gonna add some more white fleur-de-lis to this one as well. I like that idea though. I need to get a stamp designed. There's a stamp company near here. That would be kind of fun. cleaning up my messes. On this one, I decided to go for purple, and I think I add some black to this one as well. So I guess you would call these journaling cards because they're kind of big. They're like postcard size. Don't know that I'd send them for postcards. They could probably all still use some sort of focal point. So I would consider them not complete. Maybe if I decide to put them in a journal or give them away or something, at that point I'll add some sort of focal point. Or they're just pretty patterned paper. Pretty patterned cards. I think they're kind of pretty. In a folksy sort of way, maybe. Definitely not refined. Here I think I'm adding some more purple. A few purple fleur-de-lis. Alright, so I have some of this left. I decided that's going to go on the back. There's enough there to go on 2, so I put that as the back of 2 of my cards. I do kind of like that ombre, and it's just got a hint of the fleur-de-lis on there. So I think it works for the back. It's not distracting. You could write right over the top of that, and it wouldn't matter. Like, people could see what you had written, I think. If you're going to journal on it. Or a quote. Don't forget. Got a quote for me? I like that idea. It's still a little damp, so I'll need to let it dry for a while. And then get the back on the other ones. So I have more of this, and I wanted it less loud. So I add, this is, I believe this is quinacridone magenta. And it's a fluid paint by Golden. And it's probably not the best choice. But it sort of evens out the color, I guess. Neutralizes everything. Not my favorite, but I use it anyway. The colors still look really bright there, but looking at it here in real life, it's not that bright. It's fairly dull. I mean, if I turned on a bright light, the pink might look bright, but I decided to also do it to the lighter part of this one to put on the back of the other card. I think I could put a swath of that raspberry, like do a gel print of just that raspberry color and put a swath across the back of these. That'd cover up most of that. And then I could stamp it or sign it or put a quote on it. think that's my plan. That's the next step, which is not in this video, but I think that's what I'll do next. And oh, and these I am gluing on with my Yoo-Hoo glue stick. Some people call it Oohoo, and I've always known it as Yoo-Hoo, so that's what I call it. Set that out of the way, and we'll do the next one. Notice I'm picking my favorite cards to put my favorite backer on. And sorry, I normally edit out cleaning the surface, but it was just such a short little bit of cleaning the surface. I left it in. This one is a bit longer. I guess I should have said that in the beginning. Of course, you probably noticed when you clicked on the video that I was going to be a little bit longer. I have sped it up like a bazillion times, just so that we're not here forever, and I can't think of that much to say. So I'm taking my corner rounder. These are a little thick, but I'm taking my corner rounder to them because I like the rounded edges. I think I have to pull out my corner chomper at some point because it won't fit in the corner rounder, because some of those have quite a few layers. Oh, and I decide to edge so that there's no white on the edge. And I just pulled out the purple paint, and I do that on all of them. I think I make them all purple on the edges. And I don't know if I really do a flip through of these. Oh, there is one more thing I do. I'm going to take a black pen. I think it's a Faber-Castell pen in black, and then my white pen, and outline some of the fleur-de-lis just to give them that little extra something something. Just because they don't really have a focal point, and I felt like something needed to be pulled forward. And I felt like something needed to be up in that corner. So I'm doing that one that's really distressed, and I'm just going to take my white pen and fill it in. Trying to decide which ones I want to outline. I think I do a few green in the black, and then the white around that green, and then a couple of purple ones. But you'll have to let me know, which one do you like the best? Did you have a favorite print? Those pictures at the beginning were each of the prints that I made in my gel printing session and what I used to collage with. But let me know. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment or both. Share it with your friends. Anyone you think might like this video, that would really help me a lot. And I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.